And introduce yourselves.
I'm Carl Kutz.
Rosie Rosenberger.
I'm Mike Garrett. I'm Zane Robinson.
And you're here representing the Snow Grooming Board. So you kind of seen the process. What we're doing is just kind of wanting you to present what you figure your budget's going to be, kind of, or what direction you're going. What's gone on this last year? What was your concerns? What went well? So, who's the mouthpiece?
I've got the paperwork. Do you have the paperwork?
I do. Chris sent it to me.
I can go ahead.
So we finally got a normal snow year. I think we used up all of our budget plus some in fuel and labor.
So, talking about that, where are you on your budget then for fuel and labor?
We're a little bit over on fuel, but not labor. Weren't we?
Because what it comes down to,
We are.
you can't go over on fuel and labor unless you have some funds somewhere that you've, because we don't have a magic pocket that we just get that out of, so you can't just go over.
Well, you're not over budget, or we would have let you know you didn't have any money to
Okay.
spend. So, that's the good news.
Okay.
But we are a little over on fuel, right?
Probably in certain line items, but the
Not
overall,
the
we do,
total budget.
we do bottom line accounting, so we just worry about bottom line.
Yeah, like Mike said,
For
What I was
operating.
hoping, like, we're under on labor and over on fuel, so I was hoping maybe we can draw from here to pay Rob Peter to pay Paul. I don't know exactly how that works.
And that, go ahead and explain.
So salaries, you have to stay within salary budget, and then operating budget, you have to stay within operating budget. If we think you're gonna be over in your operating and you need to move money from A down to B, we can do that. But if you've got extra money in other line items within your operating, we won't need to move any funds within your operating budget. So, and this was budget discussion, and so I did not come prepared with actual expenses, but we'll look at it when we get downstairs. Make sure you guys are good to go.
But as you submit stuff, Christie keeps track of it, and then, and if you get into the pink area,
We'll let you know.
we'll have a conversation.
But last time I looked, you were fine.
Do you have a copy of this by any chance?
Last year's budget?
What is it?
It's our proposal of this year, and
No, and we're not ready for that, actually. That's gonna be a second meeting. I mean, I guess you could submit it, we could talk about it right now.
well, and that's what I understood, that this is a kind of a preliminary budget type of meeting.
It is, the way the process works is you guys are directly under the commissioners. So we want to talk to all the departments that were under us. Then there's a meeting that is directed by Jason, and we participate in that, but that's the official present your budget conversation.
Official budget request.
So, and that's why we as a commission wanted all our departments to know that we want to stay with last year's budget, the funds and stuff. I don't know what, you guys are a little bit different because you have the funds that come in from the stickers. That's how you're paid. It isn't through tax dollars. So there's a difference in this organization than some of the others. But, so I don't know how much money you have in your funds. But anyway, if you got something you want to submit, we can go ahead and look at it.
We just had like three items that we would like an increase on from last year. Actually, I guess it's just two,
Just the
operating
two,
supplies and fuel.
What kind of an increase are you looking at?
Our operating supplies for this year was 82.45, and we'd like to bump that up to 10,000.
So what we got going on that is our groomer's getting old. It was brand new groomer in 2012. At that time, that groomer was $250,000. For us to replace that now, it's gonna be $450,000. So Parks and Recs basically has told us, just keep fixing it. We're not buying a new one, so our maintenance is gonna go up just because the equipment's older.
And John actually had a conversation with Bob this week, last week.
Not with Bob.
Yeah,
Well.
when the piece
only
broke down and then you was asking him how old the
When we
groomer
were standing by
was.
the door, is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what Bob says, that they're making these groomers last a lot longer. That actually this isn't that old of a groomer compared to most of them that are out there being used.
Right,
So it
When-
it didn't sound like it was gonna be replaced anytime soon.
right.
With respect to the maintenance on the groomer, you know, we have the road and bridge department, which can do the work on the
Correct.
groomer, but it's my understanding that's not always where the work is being done on the groomer. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, if it's stuff that Bob and Rosie can do, they kind of just take care of little stuff, like that part that broke off the tiller. They ordered the part and just bolted the new one on, right?
Yeah, we had to pull the pin out, the swivel part, there's a pin in there that had to come out, but we ordered a new one and put it in and put that arm back onto the tiller, which controls the tiller. It takes it up and down and turns it. And that busted on us out in Cottonwood.
And then, you know, the groomer broke down for 2 weeks or so, right at peak grooming over the holidays. And what happened there is it was an oil pressure switch. So the computer said it had no oil pressure, so they shut it right down. Because the last groomer, what happened is we ran out of oil. It actually had a leak. We run it out of oil, seized the motor, and when we pulled it out, the oil pressure gauge was still at what, 60, 80 PSI with the motor not running. So the operator had no indication there was low oil pressure, so he was real cautious.
And there's two-
Once that went off, they shut it down.
There's two sensors that go to that. One goes to the TCI box or
Right.
something, and then one goes to the fuel pump. And he took that down to the county shop and they put the machine on and he said, you can run it. Because if it went to the TCI box, it would just boom. Because we were doing the trail, I don't remember which trail, and the alarm went off and immediately we shut it off. And about 30 minutes, we turned it back on and oil pressure went up to 65, then it dropped down to like 55, and then we continued on the rest of the day.
But that,
It
back
did
to
go
your
off again.
road and bridge, we tried getting it into CAT to service it, but it was right at the end of the year, right at Christmas, and all their employees were using up their vacation, and they were swamped, and we couldn't get it in. So we did go to Road and Bridge, and they hooked up their computer and gave us the codes. Then we went back to Caterpillar, and they said, yeah, it is that sensor, but don't worry about the oil pressure, because it's the oil pressure that runs the fuel pump. So if you lose oil pressure, it shuts the fuel off, so you're not gonna harm the motor. So once we found that out, then we went back and continued grooming until we got the part replaced. So we have used the shop there at Road and Bridge.
When you say you went to CAT to look at this, do we have a contract with them? Is this under warranty? What's the deal when you go to CAT? to
When
look
we
at-
get, it's a Caterpillar is what it is.
Right.
So that's why we went there.
But I mean, is it under warranty? Are we paying them to do this maintenance?
No, we would pay them. It's just they're authorized to
Mhm.
work on it.
Is there some reason the work they're doing couldn't be done by Road and Bridge?
Special tools. They gotta have to read their computer systems, and they have to have,
See,
like, the software to do it.
yeah, they could read the computer, but they didn't know what the codes meant.
The Road and Bridge told you
Yeah.
that?
So we had to take those codes to Caterpillar and kind of the two work together.
I see, okay.
Road and Bridge did, we had an O-ring go on the motor in the back, and Road and Bridge, we took it down there and they replaced the O-ring, because we couldn't find where the hydraulic leak was. We could see it on the ground in the snow, and we checked, we looked it all over, and we couldn't find it. There
So,
wasn't anything on the trailer or anything. Took it down to them and they discovered it. I don't know if they put a machine on it or what, but they discovered it was an O-ring. So
Mhm.
they fixed it down there at Road and Bridge.
when you're between seasons in the summertime, do you routinely take it into Road and Bridge to go over the groomer and do a checkup on it? Do you ever do anything like that?
We actually, in the fall, before the season starts, we've always taken it down to Downey and had that shop go through everything, change
Who's Downey?
oil and filters.
Doug
He used,
Bayless,
I'm sorry?
It's an individual. It's
So
not a
that's
county
not
shop.
part of Road and Bridge?
no, it's
No.
not. And he used to be on the grooming board and he just always gave us a good deal and everything. And I mean, in the years past, we've just always tried saving money because we've never had a lot of extra money, and that's what we've done. I guess there's no reason we couldn't do it at Road and Bridge.
Well, it seems to me wouldn't that save the most money, or am I missing something here? If we get.
Except that it's two different departments, and Road and Bridge actually should charge the grooming board
Mhm.
for labor and parts and stuff.
They currently charge for parts, but the county shop doesn't usually charge for labor.
Labor.
Yeah, Kyle Burmester caught me out in the hall after one of our meetings a couple months ago and asked why we don't bring it to them. He said, we won't charge you labor and we'll give you a discount on all the parts. So
Just like John's asking.
and it's only a couple miles from where the groomer's stored. I just don't understand why we can't take it to Road and Bridge.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, that's just what we've always done in the last 30 years.
And it's just like I told the last group just before you, the things that we've done in the past isn't always the way we're gonna do them in the future.
Well, I don't know what you guys think, but it seems to me, it would probably be a good idea to get this thing into Road and Bridge even before the fall. I think I would get it in this summer and let them really do a thorough going over of the groomer and anything they think that needs to be done to make sure this is in top operating condition. What do you guys think about it?
That's no problem. Like I say, you've already talked to Kyle.
Yeah,
Arrange it through Kyle and his department.
Get it done.
What they can do, they can do.
okay.
Okay, and your second ask that you felt like was,
Fuel.
How much of an increase are you looking at there?
Our, this year was 7,000 and we're asking for 10 there also.
I don't think that either one of these are out of line. We'd have to see what's in your budget, what's there in your reserves or whatever. And, but I don't think that those are big asks because both things. The machines being utilized, should be utilized more if we have weather like we've been at this year. I mean, you can't compare it to the last 10 years, honestly, with the amount of snow that we've gotten. And then fuel, who knows what the fuel prices are gonna be.
Well, that, and we're starting to groom in twice too, so that's additional.
Well, sometimes it doesn't groomer. I don't think we got groomed at all last week.
Yeah, it wasn't on the report last week, so. But anyway, that's what we wanted to have conversations about is what monies are there, what's available, and how are we staying true to last year's budget. But this is a situation with grooming that if we have a great snow year and fuel prices, those are the two items here to me that
Makes sense.
they're variables that are tough to outguess.
But yeah, I think that's it, right? Just those two
Do you want to talk about
increases.
the parking lots not getting plowed?
Yeah, we had that issue with Parks and Recs.
When we had them in here and
Yeah.
talked to them,
Forest Service.
the Forest Service, and
Forest Service.
and they were broke down
For Inman,
for Inman.
Red.
but not for Crystal Summit. Crystal Summit was a mess this year.
They
Was it?
use a grader up there.
So they used a different piece of equipment and it just wasn't plowed. You had how many times park in the lower parking lot?
No, we always park in the lower parking lot, but we've had to unload on the road in order to get to the parking lot because they plowed the snow right there at the gate. So we couldn't get in with the truck. We had to unload on
And
the
this is
road.
something that we need to know that day.
And
We need to know so we can call that day and identify the concerns.
And that's what I've done with Inman. I've called Sheila Larson and said the parking lot isn't being done. Well, then after I did that a couple times, she actually sent me a text back and said, well, the pickups broke down. But it was broke down for a whole month. It's like, that is your only resource to do Inman, is one pickup?
And that's a discussion that we had with them the other day. And also, I mean, you know where I live.
Well, we
I see that truck when it goes up the road and goes down when it's plowing usually.
pulled
And
it
sometimes
up in
it's in the
that
middle of the
one time,
afternoon, and that's not
there was a truck
right.
and the trailer already in there stuck. And we got stuck too, so we had to unload the groomer and plow so we could get that guy out of there, you know, and plow a spot for the truck.
Well, and that's what I say.
But
That's when we need an email, send an email to one of us, or call our office, because a month later, nobody remembers except that it wasn't good. But if we identify things and talk to them that day, it's a lot easier to take care of.
I'm thinking he probably plowed it maybe 3 times this year and that was it.
Oh, he's done a pretty good job, basically. After, once they got the truck fixed, the parking lot's been good.
In
And
Inman, but not
And
in
Inman,
Inman.
no, I don't know about, I've only been up Main Creek a couple times, but I go to Inman every week.
So, but that's what, you guys are the ones that are in the parking lots, and we need to know. I mean, all we see is, or hear is, we've got a contract that needs to be signed and we need our money. So, the other deal is that we got an email on fires in parking lots with pallets or building materials and stuff. And they did send us a picture. They had 2 flat tires. And all I can say is, I don't know where we got a flat tire when I was with Kyle, but we pulled in the parking lot at Inman and then come down the road and started up Jackson Creek, and we had 2 flat tires on the same side of the truck. If you guys identify anybody that's doing that, we need to know that too.
Was it last Friday, we were up in, Crystal Summit. You know, we just came back from doing Garden Creek and that area. Anyways, we came back and the guy was in the parking lot and he had a fire going. And Keller got out and says, "Did you read that sign?" "Well, I didn't see a sign." We don't have fires in this parking lot because people leave pallets, and he didn't have pallets. I don't know what he was burning, but he had a fire going in that parking lot. And he asked them to put it out. I don't know if he put it out because we went down to load up. But yeah, he was up there and he had a fire going. And well, I didn't see no sign. Well, it's going right up
Well,
the drive. You can see the sign.
and that's one of the deals we need to know about too. Actually, we'd end up calling the sheriff's office and have them enforce the rules.
So what, if we see somebody, we get a license plate number?
Get a license plate number, give us a call our office, and we'll initiate something to go
Well,
on.
they could just call the sheriff right then,
They
right?
can call the
Yeah,
sheriff.
call the sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other issue.
Okay, yeah.
Crystal Summit is Power County, and that's a long ways for them to come, and they don't like coming up.
The Power County Sheriff.
Yeah. They will if it's an issue. We had
Well,
2
we have
trucks.
an MOU with them, or we can't operate our machine in there.
Yeah.
So we have an MOU with them, and if that's the concern, then we can operate.
I think
Talk
you
to
guys,
the sheriff's office.
you guys should be calling the sheriff and letting us know what you've done, so that we know what's happening, and if there's an issue with a certain sheriff's department or something, we want to be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, it's not so much the sheriff's department, you know, they're busy and it's usually a weekend and everything, but
Sure.
it's, you know, by the time they get there, the people are gone.
But either way, we should be reporting it. And we as commissioners should know what's going on.
Yeah. And we've talked in the past about having an agreement between Bannock County and Power County because, you know, Bannock County could drive another 1,000 feet and be there over the line.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quicker for Bannock to get there than Power County.
And that should be part of our MOU.
I know I've had a couple of conversations with Sheila Larson. She actually sent me a text and asked if I knew who was building the fires in Inman. And at that point, the previous 2 Saturdays, there had been a smoking fire in the parking lot from a Friday night party. So I just told her, I said, maybe you ought to make a point to go up there on Friday night this weekend and raid a party. And she says, I'll do that. Never heard anything more about it, but. And then even one time this summer, we were over there razor riding, and she sent me a text. She says, do you know anything about the pallets in the parking lot? So I actually went over there to see, and man, there was a pile 10 feet tall of pallets. And that's a problem, because even when the smoldering fires this winter, my wife went over and says, you can count the nails.
Yeah.
I mean, they're burning pallets. That's what's holding them together. I didn't see anybody around. Like I say, they were from the previous night, but.
And Crystal Summit, we provide firewood and a wood stove in the cabin. I mean, it's provided for them.
But just like that, that's when we need to call Tony, because we actually have an MOU with the Forest Service that Tony has authority to, as a police officer, or as a sheriff's office, over that jurisdiction.
And we have overtime grants for them to patrol up there.
Yeah.
So
I
if they know,
during the summer, when we have our trail cleanups, but September, we camp in that parking lot, go and do the trails, cut trees back and everything. And we had like magnetic deals. We went around that parking lot in the back. And I think we collected, I don't know how many buckets of nails. You know, before we pulled in and camped, we stood there and we went around rolling and picking up nails from these pallet fires.
Yeah. Well, we gotta let all the people that are involved with it know so we can curtail the problem. We're never ever gonna stop it, because you can't be there 24/7.
Yeah, and it only
No.
takes 1 or 2 people. It's not the majority.
But the more we let people know, the more we can correct it, help it. Questions?
Yeah, I got one more comment. I took a snowmobile and went up Inman and went up to the warming hut there, and I wasn't impressed with that trail at all. I thought it was pretty rough. I would never go on that trail for recreation if that was the condition of it normally. And so I'm concerned about the way the grooming's being done. If it's that rough to ride on a trail, I don't know why anyone would ride on it if it was as rough as the day I went up there. So I think you guys need to take a look at your grooming operation and make sure that these trails are someone's gonna want to ride on. Now, I used to ride snowmobiles a lot. I haven't done it in decades, but I can tell you, I never experienced anything like that.
Yeah, Inman's been a problem since I've ridden it the last 30 years. You got that 3 miles that's just usually terrible. And all it takes is 20 snowmobiles and it's rough again.
But isn't that a function of when you groom the trail?
Can be in weather, and we did groom it at night this year, and they said it held up a lot better when we groomed it at night.
But you're not always grooming at night, you're grooming
No,
during the
because
day.
what originally our problem was, is if you're gonna groom at night, it needs to set 4 or 6 hours. So he'll go out like 5:30 or so, groom it, then set in the parking lot from 2 a.m. until.
You don't have to
daylight.
sit in the parking lot.
Well, we
already
know that.
solved all that.
We know that now, but that was the problem before, why we couldn't groom at night, because you can't take an overlegal load after dark. So we've resolved that problem, and
Yeah.
he did groom at night, so those are things we're looking at.
Well, we received 2 emails this week complaining about grooming.
And it didn't get
On
groomed
both of them were
last week,
incomes,
I don't
or
think.
incomes in Inman's.
Yeah, and
So,
having experienced it firsthand, you know, I didn't care for it, so.
Oh, yeah, I used to ride that trail when it was really rough, you know, when you had 2 or 3 inches of travel in the suspensions.
well, and I'll just tell you that if it doesn't get addressed through the board, it'll get addressed through this board.
But it has been better
Thank
this
you.
year, right? We've done better this year than previous years?
It's still Inman,
Yeah.
unless you change the way you do things, nothing's gonna change. Grooming it in a day is the wrong time to do it. Even one up there last week said as soon as he got to the top, here come 15 snow machines. What does that tell you? They just trashed the trail, 15 of them. Because it's in broad daylight.
Yeah.
He was the one that made that comment in the meeting the other night. Like, and if you go up there on any given day and 30 or 40 sleds follow you up there, and then you turn around and come out and those 30, 40 sleds follow you back out, you
Well, that's-
basically wasted your time.
Yeah, because that's how you ruin your trail immediately, is by following the groomer. The trail has
Well,
no
I
time to
agree.
set up.
Okay, so let me
I mean,
address
it's-
that though.
It's hard
If
to,
people are gonna ride snowmobiles during the day, if you're grooming during the day, you take the trail out of operation if we tell people they can't follow the groomer.
you're gonna shut that trail down for, close that trail for, what, 6 hours? So
That's
that
why I'm
trail sets
saying-
up, or-
My thinking is it ought to be groomed at night.
And we're heading that direction. Like we said, the biggest problem was the over legal permits and stuff, so
Yeah.
we've got that resolved. And
Yeah, I went right to the sources on it. That's not a problem. So, anything else?
That's all I got.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you. When, I guess Christie Davenport will let us know when the actual budget.
That'll happen through the clerk's office. So
Okay.
we'll be sending you budget sheets around April 17th, I think, somewhere around there. And then you'll submit those back to the auditing office first part of May, and then we'll get meetings set up. And it'll either be through Christie Davenport or our office.
The county will let you know one way or another.
Okay.
when-
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
and then, did we have an executive meeting later today or something? I got an email, but I couldn't open it.
No.
That didn't pertain to you.
We, with individuals, we're doing their evaluations also, so with the boards, we're not doing the evaluations.
Okay, yeah, because I couldn't open the email. I got it, but couldn't open it.
Yeah, that was, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys and ladies.